potentially have 3 contests at the same time, especially in division and district. You'll want to meet with each group separately. If you try to meet with everybody on the same day and you have like 15 people, it's going to take a long time and people are not going to want to wait. Because when Dennis and I were working with about half a dozen people, it took, what, Dennis, about an hour and 15 minutes at least to get them all done, if I remember.
Something like that.
It was a while, because that tech check has to be extensive, because it's harder to control a virtual environment than it is to control the in-person environment, namely because when you hold it in a location that's physical, how many locations is the contest being held in? Just one, right? But when we go virtual, we're not just having one location. It's Roxie's house and Clarice's house and Dennis's house and Francina's and Andy's and everybody else's house. And no 2 people's houses are exactly alike. So the lighting from your windows, the lighting from the lights in your house, the color of your walls are different. And so there's so many more variables that we have to take into account. So it is of the utmost importance that you do a tech check. Do not do the tech check half an hour or an hour before the contest begins, because that won't give people enough time to adapt. Because, well, we're going to go over in a little bit what that entails. Here are some rules about the chief judge and tiebreaker judge. On the club level, and this is club level only, you just have to be a paid member in good standing. And this is straight from international, from the rule book. If you are at an area, division, or district level contest, you have to either complete a minimum of 6 speeches in the Legacy Competent Communicator Manual or levels 1 and 2 in any path. Let me go back on this. Now my computer's acting all weird. Hold on just a second. Let me stop sharing. My screen, for some reason, is acting really weird. There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. It was kind of acting all odd on my screen. So let me go back. Okay. There it is again. Let me do it this way. Sorry about that, everybody. For some reason, my screen is like splitting into 3 screens, and I can't get to my main screen.
Greg, while you're fixing that, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Ask away. I can multitask.
How are we going, or have we decided how we're handling the judging of the Spanish-speaking contest?
I know that is being handled by the district, and Andy Alas is here tonight, is working on the Spanish-speaking contest. I haven't heard if there's any specifics about that.
No, at this point, my plan is to invite some of our friends in Mexico to judge the Spanish contest. We're trying to get as many people in our district to be competitors and to compete in so I don't want to take that talent pool and put them as judges. So I will be having judges from different districts around the world in Spanish.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Let me go back to this. I apologize for that technical difficulty. Here we go. I'll have to show it like, okay, now my screen's acting up again. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. I do not know what's going on with my computer. See, this is what I mean. It could just act up at any time, and hold on just a second, everybody. But if anybody else has a question, you could ask away. Yes, Andy, go ahead.
Could you repeat what percentage of the tall tales has to be true?
No more than 25%. as far as what I had read can be true. It has to be at least 75% fictional.
Thank you.
Meaning, like, for example, I did one about Hulk Hogan and how I got ticked and how I gave him the idea of what you're going to do, brother. So is there a person named Hulk Hogan? The answer is yes. Does he have that famous phrase, "What you gonna do, brother"? Yes, he does. Did I go backstage to a WWF event? No. Did I give him the idea? No. Do I make money off of it? No. Now, I said all that in my tall tale, but it wasn't true. So it can be partially factual. In fact, a lot of tall tales are partially factual, but they can't be more than 25% factual. I apologize for this, ladies and gentlemen. For some reason, my computer is acting really odd and will not allow me to share my screen. So I'm going to have to.
Do you want to transfer it to someone else?
Actually, let's see if I can.
And
Hold on,
I
just.
have some questions that are very simple questions.
Yeah.
You mentioned scheduling a tech and probably the briefings for judges and for speakers. Do you suggest that those times are on the flyer advertising the contests?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, so that helps people plan.
Yes, it does. I would highly recommend that you would do that. In fact, you need to let people know that the timings of all the different meetings, because it's not fair for a person to not be able to attend all those things, and then the second place person has to step in very, very much last minute. My computer's acting really weird, so I'm going to have to do the unfortunate thing of restarting, and I will be back in a couple of minutes. I apologize for this, but I think this is the only way I can fix my issue. So I will be right back.
We'll talk while you're gone. So what questions do we have so far? And we'll let, if you have tech questions, we'll let Dennis handle them. If we have other questions, whoever is probably Francina can answer them. I'll try as well. But what questions do we have? Roxie.
What the Zoom master needs are, is there any kind of checklist? Because if we're getting new people, new area directors, new contestants that may not understand how to do it, be a Zoom master, maybe Dennis, do you have like a checklist of what you need to do and when you need to do it?
I don't have anything in writing. I just kind of do it off the top of my head.
Well, can we borrow the top of your head for a while?
No, but I think for a Zoom master, it is important to do be the Zoom master for several club meetings. Then you know what's going. Practice, use the easy things at Zoom meeting, breakout room Zoom meetings, whatever it is. Try with your club. Be a Zoom master for your club for a while. Then I think maybe you are ready for the next step up. A little step up to first, then maybe the area or something like that. But start with your club, be the Zoom master, and practice there.
And Francina was the first. She was an area director at that time. She was the first one to have to do a virtual contest.
Yes.
At the beginning of the pandemic. So she knows what she's talking about. She's been trial of fire.
Yeah. And it is indeed, at that time, we didn't know. Right after that, I rang the bell. One Zoom master is not enough. You have 2, 3, maybe 4, because our Zoom master, what I had, was she started working at the electricity that weekend in her area. So she was several times she was out. And then I had to take it on too. And it was very hectic. And yeah, people don't see it in a time, sometimes that you have to wait a little bit longer. So I thought the Zoom master was enough. But no, definitely not. And divide them up. Each time a little, maybe only one check in all the persons and another one does another little thing, but check it up as much as possible.
Thank you, Francina. Greg is back.
Okay,
Let's see.
so
Woo!
But
I
Nico has his hand up. He has a question also.
go ahead, Nico.
We'll go ahead and get the questions at the end of the session. Is that
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, I have about a few more minutes. Thank you for being so patient. My Google Slides wasn't working, so while I was getting back on here, I actually saved it as a PowerPoint.
Good.
And that probably will work better. You always want to have a backup plan. Thank you for being so patient. So right now, I'm going to use PowerPoint to do this. Always want to make sure you have a backup plan to it. So let me go to where we were at. Here we go. If you are a chief judge, or tiebreaker judge, a club member, club level, you just have to be a member in good standing. If you're an area, district, division, or district club speech contest, you have to have at least 6 speeches in your competent communicator, which I know nobody is working out of anymore, but you might have an old-time member who maybe didn't do a lot of pathways, hasn't done a lot of pathway speeches yet, but they still have their CC. They can be a judge. So if you have a longtime member that hasn't done a ton of pathways, you want to encourage them, but that's for a different speech. But you can use them for a judge if they've at least had 6 competent communicator speeches. Once you get to the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals, you have to have achieved at least an advanced communicator bronze or completed 1 entire path, as well as previous experience judging at the area level or above. So the quarterfinals would be the regional contest where all the videos from the district contest is being sent. The semifinals and finals are held at the international conference during the summer. Requirements for all speech contestants. This is extremely important. As I've mentioned to some of you before, I ran into a situation in my division several years ago where this was not followed, and this needs to be followed from the club level onward. If you are in any contest but international, you just simply must be a member in good standing, and the club they represent must also be in good standing. Why is this important? Debbie Allman is going to be contacting us in a couple months. Do you know why Debbie Allman's going to be emailing us and texting us a lot in a couple of months?
Dues are due.
Dues are due. And if you don't turn in your dues by the time they're due, then you're in doo-doo. Which means if you win division, say you win division and your division contest is by the end of March, but your club is not in good standing because they don't have those 8 members and you represent that club, it doesn't matter if you are a member of other clubs. If you represent that club that is not in good standing as of April 1, guess what happens to you? You're
get
DQ'd.
disqualified.
I'm not talking Dairy Queen either. You're out. You're out.
Sir Greg, I have a
This-
question about that real quick.
Yes, go ahead, Ryan.
When you say a club in good standing, that means no suspension, correct?
That means no suspension, Ryan. I know it's
Okay.
not fair. It's a rule that international has.
No, okay, I just wanted to make sure that's what, okay. I just want to make sure that was corrected. I understood that, I should say. Thank you.
Yes, in fact, yes, go ahead.
It is not only not in suspension, but you have at least 8 registered members. That is, I think, a club in good standing.
Yeah, it has to be, it has to be 8 members, because if it's not 8 registered members, then it's not in good standing.
Yeah, but you can still not have 8 registered members, but not just in suspension, you know, that I thought.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that clarification. They have to be in good standing. So that means at least 8 members. And I know for some clubs, it's hard to get 8 members. and people have asked if there can be exemptions for COVID on a number of issues. I'm simply in this part of the presentation relaying the expectations from international. This is so that you know that if you are a speech contestant, you need to register, you need to make sure your membership is there. That also means that you need to make sure your club has at least 8 members in good standing, which is also why it's important that even if you do not win a contest, if you don't win division, for example, you should be ready. Make sure that that second place person is ready. Because several years ago, how many of you remember the Agora Hills district conference we had? I was second place in Division G. And then I get a call from the division director at that time with about 2 weeks before the contest. And you know what they said? They said, we can't reach the division, the contestant, the winner of Division G's international contest. So be ready. Now it ended up that the guy showed up and ended up competing, but it took a while for them to actually confirm with him that he would be there. And so I had to get ready and I had to prepare myself in case he wasn't there. So make sure that if you have a club where your contestant is second place in division, don't just say, okay, pack it up. I guess I'll wait till next year. Make sure they're ready. Make sure they have an opportunity to practice their speech because you never know if they're going to be up to bat. In fact, our very first Table Topics winner in District 33 was originally second place in Division G. The late great Cindy Bean was second place in Division G Table Topics. And right after the contest ended, the winner said, oh, I can't go to the district. I'm going to be best man at my best friend's wedding that day. So right then and there, Cindy was the alternate and went on to the district and won it. So that's why, and you also need to make sure that your contestants know all the dates, because they need to know that they should be available all the way up to district in case they go up to district. So here we go. And let's make sure this is moving. There we go. The tech check. Here's the fun part. And it's a lot. And if anybody needs assistance doing tech checks, I would be more than happy to, if I have the time, to schedule time to help any areas or divisions that might need help with this. If you are doing a tech check, few areas you need to do. Number one is your lighting and background. Number one, contestant must be visible. They have to be seen on camera. Number two, no shadows can be present. So we have to minimize those shadows. That means if you're taking a ring light, making sure you move their ring light around, making sure that if they need to bring any additional lamps, if they need to move closer to a window, they need to open a drape, close a drape. You're doing all that. And you don't want to do this any more than about 2 days beforehand, because any more than 2 days beforehand and life happens. If you do a tech check 1 week beforehand, look at how much your computer might update. There might be changes in the lighting in your house. So you want to do this tech check 1 to 2 days before. You want to have a plain solid colored wall. So for example, if I turn off my wall, you would see my virtual background that I have a pretty blank wall. And when you are in a speech contest, you can't have any virtual backgrounds. So if I was a speech contest contestant, I would have to do this. I would have to take care of these 2 shadows. See the shadows behind me? I would have to make sure that I adjust my lighting so that I wouldn't have as many shadows. We don't allow virtual backgrounds for the reason that that could create an inequity among the contestants based upon their technology. Not everybody has the ability on their computer to utilize a virtual background. Speaking area, camera needs to work properly. Number 2, contestants need to practice walking and making gestures, which means they need to practice standing up. I was sitting down. So if I was standing up in my speech, I would need to put it on a table so that it's level with me, so I wouldn't have to keep looking down at my computer. Also, you want to make sure that this computer or webcam is several feet away from the speaker. Why? Let me give you a demonstration. This is my speaking area when I sit this close to the computer, about a foot. Now watch this. I slide back here, and all of a sudden now my speaking area goes out to this. This is about almost 2 feet. So backing up an additional foot from your computer gives you about an additional foot width in your speaking area for hand gestures. So imagine when you extrapolate that to several feet for your speaking area when you're standing up and doing in-person an online contest. It makes a difference. Now, the inverse of that is don't be so far away that no, you have to be close enough to be heard. And the speaking area is the camera range. And this is just a little reminder. We no longer disqualify people for stepping out of the speaking area range. However, they can have points deducted in applicable areas by the judges for stepping out of that speaking area, like being cut off. But just make sure that the contestants practice being in that speaking area. What does that mean? It means that if you're a contestant, you should put yourself into your own private meeting room and actually practice giving your speech on a computer so that you can see what the range is. And as far as the sound, check for quality as the person moves. How many of you ever watched Singing in the Rain, the old movie? And if you watch it when they were trying to make the first sound movie, and then they go, here, you shouldn't have come. And the sound goes in and out. We don't want that. We don't want any of that kind of going in and out. So you got to test it. And then that's the time that the Zoom masters will be asking them to adjust their microphones, adjust the camera, adjust the lighting, making sure that all those things come together so that we can see and hear them as best as possible. So tech considerations, these are like best practices. Number 1, you want to set up breakout rooms prior to your event, not the day of the event. Set it up prior to your event and have access to a pro account. You can't do this on a free account. Got to do it on a pro account. Number 2, everybody, for reasons that I just unintentionally demonstrated a few minutes ago, should have a backup internet device. Have a backup. Here's an easy hack for you. You're going to take your computer. See this phone right here? How many of you know how to hotspot off your phone? Okay. Most cell phones have what is called a hotspot feature. And I'm going to turn off my virtual background so you can see my phone better. So permit me for just a moment. Here we go. See this right here? This is my phone. So all I'm just going to do is I'm going to log into my phone. And I have an Android. You might have an iPhone, but usually should have something that looks like it will say mobile hotspot. So what you do is you go to your mobile hotspot and you turn this on. And when you turn it on, it's actually going to show you that it's turned on. Then you can go to your Wi-Fi and you can connect to it. But here's a better thing, here's something that makes it even better. See this? You know how you plug in your phone to charge it? Anyone know what kind of cable this is? Anyone know
USB cable, USB cable.
USB.
It's a
HDMI.
USB, correct. So you take the USB and you plug it to the USB port in your computer. Usually it's on one side or the other. Many computers have multiple ones. Now it's an Ethernet connection. And it's a stronger hotspot. So have a backup. I'm on Ethernet right now. If at all possible, please use Ethernet. Number two, I also have a backup device. So like if this was an actual speech contest, I would have just gone back into I would have gone into my phone. Even if I was a judge. If you're a contestant, you want to have a second computer as a backup. Number three, make sure others in your household aren't streaming during the contest. How many of you have teenagers, young adults who like to do online gaming, YouTube videos? I have 2 young adults at home that love to do that. So I go to them and I say, girls, I'm going to be doing a speech contest today. Could you for the next 4 hours? And I tell them ahead of time, yep, tomorrow morning for between this time and this time, could you, use your phones instead and use your own data? And they're good about that because you want to have as much bandwidth available. Because if you're doing Zoom and the people in your house are watching YouTube videos, online gaming, they're streaming video, it starts to bog down and then you can get kicked out of the Zoom meeting. And you don't want that. Number 4, you want to disable the Zoom chat for everyone during the contest. I have to do this for my kids when I've been online with them. When I was online last year with my second graders, I had to disable the chat, except for then the chat to me, because you don't want the chat to disrupt anybody during that contest. That is why you have to have a phone and text. So if judges need to communicate with each other, chief judge, contest chair, timers, ballot counters, you are doing that by a phone. You are not Zooming it, doing it during Zoom. Also, by the way, do you know what happens to all the Zoom chat records after the meeting ends? Andy, what happens?
The host can see all the records, both private and public.
You got it. The host can see everything, including private messages that weren't even sent to you. So, to save yourself some potential embarrassment and also so you don't distract others, disable the Zoom chat. All communication between volunteers should and can be done via telephone, via text. And another thing, how many of you know what cookies are? Cookies are a little thing that, like, when you go to different websites, there are these little things that websites will leave you to track all your movements. Have you ever wondered why, like, for example, when you log onto Google, it shows you ads for things for websites you've been on before? Or on Facebook, it automatically pops up things. Or if your spouse, this is something that's happened to me. My wife will talk about something by my phone, and then I start getting pop-ups for that. So all these little cookies slow your computer. So just clear them the night before. Clear them. It takes a few minutes, but it saves you a world of trouble. In fact, that's probably what happened to me with this in this case. So here's how you set up a breakout room. For those who are unfamiliar, you're going to go to the in-meeting basic feature. This is if you have a pro account. And it's going to say breakout room. So you're going to allow hosts to assign to breakout participants to breakout rooms and scheduling. Click on that. And then it's going to say during the meeting, you're going to see where it says breakout rooms right there on the bottom, where it's in a square. It has like the little 4 square thing, almost looks like a butterfly. You're going to assign participants to breakout rooms. Make sure you do it manually. So you want a breakout room for the judges. You want a breakout room for the timers. You don't need a ton of them, but you do need a couple of them. You want to set up 2 rooms, and you want to manually set that up. You don't want to pre-assign it, but you do want to manually set it up. That means the Zoom master and assistants must know all the volunteers. They must know who the chief judge is and who the judges are. They must know who the ballot counters are. so that they can be put into the breakout rooms. All the work you do ahead of time saves you so much headache at the back of it. And even when you plan everything out well, you can have a little problem like I had a few moments ago with technology. It can strike at any time. But the more preparation you do on the front end, it helps you on the back end, especially when something happens. And then you're going to see that there's these breakout rooms. It's going to say breakout room number 1, breakout room number 2, and then you can assign people. You can rename the room. Also, make sure that your chief judge is and contest chairs are co-hosts. Because if a person is a co-host, they can bounce in and out of the breakout rooms as well. So you want to make sure that your chief judge has that ability to go into the breakout rooms and then back out on their own and not having to have the Zoom master do it for them. And so does everyone know how to set up co-hosts on Zoom? You click on their name next to more, and then you just assign them. Okay. And then it has your breakout rooms that you just click on there. Day of the contest. Here's a few things to do the day of the contest. But wait, there's more. Tech team opens the meeting 1 hour prior to the contest. You want to open it up 1 hour just to make sure everything's working. You want to check it. You want to make the breakout rooms, make sure that everything's going right. Volunteers and contestants need to arrive no later than 30 minutes prior. You're meeting with volunteers, judges, and then you're going to meet with the contestants. And so you need to make sure that you're doing the contestants briefings. That means that the chief judge has to meet with each of the contestants separately because they have slightly different rules. So you want to brief them. You want to make sure to have both a passcode and a waiting room for extra security. I know that Zoom mandates you have one or the other. I say both. And it's not listed on here, which I'm going to amend. Make sure that when you create the Zoom meeting, make sure that they have to register. Because then you can see ahead of time who's going to be in the meeting, and they will get sent a link. And there's a way of doing that. When you set up your meeting, it will say require people to register, and you want to click on that because that's just an extra level of security. In fact, for everything we do in the district, including today's presentation, you had to register in order to get that Zoom link. You want all cameras to be off except for speaker and timer. Extremely important, especially at the district level where you're going to have a few hundred people and it's going to take bandwidth. So only speaker and timer should have their cameras on. And if you are the speaker, pin the timer, please. Please pin the timer. With all those windows up, pin the timer so that the timer is visible. And Zoom Master, spotlight the speakers so that everybody in the audience can see that speaker better.
The speaker needs to pin after it's been spotlighted. I think it messes it up when you spotlight, the pin is lost.
Oh, okay, that's right. And then judges and the ballot counter should only list their title on the name card. Contestants and other roles should be listed as role name. And protests should be made via text to avoid internet issues. So this is why your cameras are not on. In fact,
Great.
I know some contests, they don't even list that they're a judge. They just list their name.
Greg, another thing that we need is in case people are kicked off but with their computer but come back on their phone, we need both the email and phone number of all the major participants. So if they come in by phone, we know who they are.
That's a good point, Dennis. Thank you for that clarification. We do need their phone number because in case they go in by phone, we need to have their phone number. So when you register, so when you get that information for the speech contest, and in fact, that information is, and now I'm going to actually go over that in a minute. The information gets sent up on that form of contest winners. It always has names, phone numbers, and emails. That information needs to be given to the Zoom Master and tech team. And protests should be made via text to avoid internet issues or phone calls directly and not online. So here we go. Here we go. And it's not moving. See, sometimes you just gotta, it's frozen. Let's see here. Let me stop sharing. And that, I believe, actually is the end of my presentation for this evening. That is all. So if you do all of these, and it's a lot. Oh, actually, I forgot. There is one more thing that Clarice wanted me to mention, and I need to share this. I forgot this, couple of important things. First of all, there are important links. This is a link to the speech contest rulebook changes. Now, this entire presentation will be made available on the District 33 website in the near future, I think probably within the next week or so. And then you can click on that hyperlink. And then there's a best practices document. Please make sure you see those two documents. They are important. There are essential rule changes for this year. And by the way, speaking of changes, there is one more. Oh, two more. If your area has 4 or fewer clubs, I'm not talking 4 or fewer clubs that compete. I'm talking in total 4 or fewer clubs. Then each club can send 2 people to compete at the area contest. If your division, has 4 or fewer areas, this applies to divisions B, D, E, F, and G. You will send the top 2 from each area to the division instead of just the first place. And that was an option made available by International that the district trio has decided that we will be doing this year. So the change is you don't just send your first place person if your club is in an area with 4 or fewer clubs. Send 1 and 2 if you have to. If you are in a division with 4 or fewer areas, those areas are going to send top 2, not just number 1. And if you do all these things, then you can be like her. For those of you who don't know her, this is Sasha Banks, professional wrestler and actual cousin to a famous rapper, Snoop Doggy Dogg. And you could be a legit boss and run a boss level online speech contest. Thank you all for being patient during my technical difficulties. Does anybody have any more questions that they would like for me to field this evening?
Yes, hand up.
Yes, I see. Debbie, is that a hand up?
Oh, all right, so
I know you couldn't go.
I have a area that has 2 suspended clubs. Are they counted as part of the 4?
I don't believe so. I am not 100% sure.
4 active clubs.
I think it would have to be active clubs. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Correct, Clarice?
Actually,
I would say so.
well, if you're taking the wording from the rule book, it does not distinguish between active or inactive. It talks about the total. Well, of course, they can't be suspended.
Yeah,
I
they would be a-
will, I think we need to get the clarification.
So
They
that's
wouldn't
what
be
that's something
members-
district
they
will
wouldn't be-
call. Oh, go ahead.
They
Sorry,
wouldn't
Yeah,
be,
because I have the
they
same
wouldn't be a
thing. That was
club
my
or
question.
area in good standing. So how
Yeah.
can they even compete?
They're not even a club. They're not a club. Yeah.
So if you have to be a club in good standing to even compete.
I know, but they wouldn't count clubs not in good standing as part of the 4.
That's what Clarice is saying, that they might have to, she might have to ask International.
I'm kind of like, and Debbie knows this, the team knows this. I would feel more comfortable. We hear it from the powers that be, from Big Brother. So that there's no misinterpretation. We're all interpreting it from the same thing and not guessing.
We have plenty of time for you to do
Yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah, that's great. Good.
Yeah, because that was going to be my question too, because I have one club in mind, like, that even though I'm a 5 area club, or 5 club areas. If that one club does not count, that takes me down to a 4 area club.
Right.
So it would be best to get an answer from international, so we're all on the same page and we know exactly what they are expecting from us. Did anybody else have a question they would like for me to field this evening?
I have my hand up.
Who, Francina?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. With the virtual background, what I understood in the beginning when I did it, that you couldn't have virtual background. I've seen with the virtual background, even somebody won with a virtual background in the division. I researched, since only the international, you're not allowed to have a virtual background. In the other one, you are. It is only international, not a virtual background. I don't know if that changed this year, but that as of last year was also able to do a virtual background in non-international contests.
I was under the impression that virtual backgrounds were not permitted in any contest. I can seek further clarification from international on that.
Please do so, because that brings me also back to the other thing you said, meet on 1 or 2 days on forehand with a contestant to go over everything. I tried it. People have work schedules, whatever. It is almost impossible to do it. Somehow it had to do longer, but I gave everyone the option to shortly before the contest to do a last minute check if everything was okay.
Right.
And then the person said, no, I have everything, I know everything. She showed up with a virtual background. And then later on in the district, she had also virtual background and she won in the virtual background.
Now, if the person cannot meet at all a day or two beforehand, and I realize that.
Yeah.
And I realize Toastmasters is one of many things that people do, family, job, church, community service organizations, which is why when we do these things, especially area, division, district level, we give people notice. We say, okay, the contest is on this date and the tech checks are on this date. And we give a couple options. And if they can't make it because of time, you work with them. And yes, Francina, if you need to meet with them the day of, an hour before, then that's what you do. I'm just saying ideally.
Yeah,
ideally.
Yeah.
And in my experience, about 2/3 of them made it.
Yeah.
At least one of the two, because honestly, as a former speech competitor, I took it seriously.
Yeah.
And I took what I did seriously. I take my craft as a Toastmaster seriously. And many speech competitors do.
Yeah.
And so they were willing, if given enough time. I mean, you're not going to tell them, yeah, tomorrow, 7 p.m. tech check.
No. You have to work with them. But I mean, 1 or 2 days, I just want to say what you said, be flexible. For some people, it need to be a week on 4 or whatever, but give them an opportunity to shortly before to do a last minute checkup. That you said all kinds of things have changed. Just to make a clarification to the, that's it. And also, there are very good videos from international. That's a gift how to do that. I don't know, maybe we can give the links for that, for it. How to do a tech check, how to work with people, with the background and whatever it is. There are, that international has put out. And those are very good. And that also work, if you said further back, at that time it was said, you have to be from waist up about to be seen, not sitting down, you know, like we sitting down now. No, you had to stand up, you had to be standing up. And if possible, if you're not disabled or whatever, then but about from waist up. And if you to step further back, use a headset or anything else that can hear you. Yeah, not go forward because your sound is not good, but use other means to.
For example, a Bluetooth headset would be good.
Yes.
A wired one would be hard because you have a limited range. Some people will use a USB mic that they plug in.
The wired is, the wired, you have extension cord. You can go a long way with wired.
You know, and as I said, there's a lot of low tech ways that you can do that. I mean, the technology is there today to have a
Yeah.
wireless microphone or a USB plugged in microphone that you can arrange, or a webcam that's embedded for like less than $50. So
Yeah.
it,
Or maybe because some other club members can help you. Ask members in your club, and you can do the test. And another thing is, almost every computer, every device, you can record yourself. On a cell phone, you can do a selfie,
Yeah.
do a video, you record yourself. And look at it. How do you look at it? And not only how do I speak, how's my background? Do you see the doors, whatever? Is everything clear? Record yourself and look critical how everything looks like, your own speech.
exactly. Good job. You should be giving this. Excellent job, Francina.
No,
All
I
right.
just, that is my experience, and will that help? I help some contestants a little bit more also before they give. So, but I think Debbie has something also.
Yes, she does. I was going to call on her.
But I'll let someone else ask a question. I've already asked one, but I have another one. Anybody else have a question?
I don't, let's see, anybody else? Bueller?
You know,
Anyone?
we've
Bueller?
had several trainings, and I've never heard anyone mention the scripting for introducing this, having the speaker say testing. What is that script that they do? So it's the Toastmaster.
Toastmaster.
Okay, I'm gonna have Greg answer it, Francina. I'm gonna have Greg answer it, okay?
No, I mean, so you're talking about the script where the Toastmaster is asking the speaker if they're ready.
Yes. What is that?
There's a part of the script that basically asks them if the speaker is ready.
Yes.
And that's all in the script for an online contest. That's why I mentioned before, you want to read the script. You
Okay.
want to get a current script. Don't get the in-person script, get the online script, because they ask the person online, are you ready?
Perfect.
And then they would say yes.
But
Yeah, that way we
also-
don't start the timer until that's ready.
Yeah, so for timer, are you ready? And we also as speaker, have you pinned the timer?
Yes.
Speaker, did you spin the timer? And your timer, are you ready? And then Toastmaster, are you ready? Yeah?
Yep. They have all that included in there. And that's why you want to read the script, because I don't remember every single thing that's on there. That's why if you're the contest master, don't look at the script the day of. Look at that thing beforehand. Be familiar with it. Know what it's about. Know what you're going to have to do, because you have to follow it. If you don't follow it and you miss something, it could be something that could be brought up in a protest. It could go to that level. Clarice.
Just want to clarify and make sure that everyone's clear. You're talking about different scripts. There's a Toastmaster script. There is a script for the contestants briefing. There's a script for the judges briefing.
Yes, there's a script for everything. You want all the scripts.
Right.
So
Right. And what Debbie's talking about is the script that is in the Toastmaster script to
Yes.
instruct the speakers.
The contest master, yes,
Right.
to instruct the speakers. And everybody, those who have a script, that's chief judge, the contest master. I know that the contest chair, everybody who has a script, they need to read it exactly. This
Okay.
is not something that you just like summarize.
Who announces the winners? Who
Contest.
gives out the trophies?
Oh, that's an easy one. It's the same as normal. Contest master would probably, actually, wait, it's not. I believe there were some rule changes last year that pertain to the contest chair. I know the contest chair can empower the contest master to hand out those awards. That's how it's been in our virtual contest. And the way that the awards are given is that the Zoom master will have a certificate, and they'll display the certificate. They'll say third place is, and they'll show them. Second place is, first place is, and then usually the physical awards are then mailed out
Okay,
the winners.
I've heard that you can have the area director or the division director. So it's a matter of agreeing ahead of time,
Okay,
who is going to do that. So there is some flexibility, I
Okay.
believe.
okay. Clarice again. I'm sorry, Clarice, go ahead.
I meant to put my hand down, sorry.
Oh, Nico.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to ask question. Yes, thank you for doing this training.
You're welcome.
Since this is about planning your virtual speech contest, a big part of doing a contest are the people that you're going to put in your team. So how do we have a list of people that we can contact to be our, let's say, chief judge or our Zoom master, all the main people that we need? Do we have a list? I have hosted speech contests before, but it was easier because I have people within my area and division that was help me in doing my contest chairing. And this is really good for the area directors, especially those who are newly doing their work as a area director. So will there be a list somewhere that anyone has? Maybe Debbie Almond has a list that.
A list. Usually it's a local decision. So you as division director have people that you know are competent. It might be, so you want to develop that list. I have a list of people who trained in the last 5 trainings. So that might be a place that we can give you information on that list. That would be, because some of these people attended every single training. I don't know what their experience level is, but this is a starting point.
Okay, so that's good, because me, since I've been in the leadership for a while already, so I already know who to talk to. And one other way that I did last December is to do a blast email, it's a mass email for volunteers. That's one way that and just thinking maybe there's a list out there that's much easier than doing that, maybe a more targeted, because what I did is this broadcast.
But I think it gives your people in your division experience. So I think it's kind of nice to keep, give those opportunities to your people.
And then I think what Debbie's trying to say is there's a reality that sometimes you don't have enough people in your division. That's happened. You don't have, especially at a division level, you're trying to get judges that are not in the same club as the contestants. So you have to pull 1 or 2 people. I did that for Francina. I judged for one of Francina's contests, but it shouldn't be the lion's share of your volunteers. It might be 1 or 2 people that you need to pull. But the majority of them should be in your division. And usually each division would know the people that they can rely on. I think that's what Debbie's trying to say.
That is true. And in my division, I know when I'm going to do my division speech contest, I know who to contact to. I have, so far, I know 4 people for Zoom to do my Zoom mastering. The usual person, Dennis Ham. There's also Tan Pham who did it before. Jim Risk and myself, I can do Zoom masters. I know 4 already. But just thinking about mostly on the area level, not on the division, because division already know people.
I see a few hands up. Ryan hasn't asked a question, so I'm going to go to Ryan.
Thank you, sir. Just for a quick clarification on something that I caught a tail end of. When you were mentioning awards, who would hand them out, it was brought up maybe the director, or area director or division directors could do so. I was under the impression, and maybe this is incorrect, aren't the area directors / division directors automatic contest chairs anyhow?
Nope, I mentioned that earlier, that it's not automatic. And here's another pop culture reference for you. It's not automatic like the Pointer Sisters, Ryan. In fact, as just let me give you an example. For example, it's the same thing as officer trainings. The division director doesn't have to do the makeup officer training. It can be an area director that does it or somebody else who chairs it. And so as a division director, I would by default be the contest chair if I chose to take it, but I could as easily give it to one of you guys who's an area director or another experienced Toastmaster to be the contest chair, and I offer support. So the contest chair does not have to be the area or division director. You can delegate that role, especially if a person needs it for their DTM and you feel that that would be a great experience for them and that they would do a great job at it. You know, we're in the business in Toastmasters, one hand is reaching up to go to the next level, but the other hand is pulling other people up with us. So while me as division director, for example, is reaching up to the district people and they're helping me to go to a higher level in what I do, I'm putting my hand down to the people in Division G to help pull them up. That's how it works. So I see that Diana has a hand up. I know Diana and Clarice and Francina. Diana.
Thank you, Greg. My question is, in terms of the scripts, in my experience, we've used our own personal scripts in the past, but are there standard scripts now that we should be using for the various situations, like
yes.
the Toastmaster script?
I have seen, well, no, I've seen various scripts from different districts as well on this. I don't know if District 33 has their own like script per se. I've never seen a District 33 specific script, but the scripts that are out there are very similar to one another that I've seen. But there are scripts for online presentations. I think a good idea would be to have an online script or scripts available on the District 33 website. I think would be an awesome idea so that we can access to those. I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds, Clarice, by suggesting that. But I think that would be a good idea. I'm going to go to Clarice and then Francina. Clarice.
Yes, thank you, Greg. I actually looked back into the rule book. So back to that question about that provision about areas with 4 or fewer clubs.
Yeah.
So I actually pulled up the rule book. So if I may share my screen, just saved myself from sending another email to World Headquarters. This is on page 8 on this section. So it clearly says,
good standing.
If an area has 4 assigned clubs or fewer in good standing, so it pertains to clubs in good standing.
Which means that Ryan's question.
Clubs in good standing. So that that number pertains to the good stand. Clubs have to be in good standing to count as part of that 4. Or if there are less. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I will not need, like I said, I won't need to contact World Headquarters.
Thank
And
you,
that-
Clarice.
Per contest, right? So that's a
For
lot.
for the area, 4, if basically areas with 4 or fewer clubs in good standing can have 2 contestants compete in the area. So it also pertains to the division. It pertains to the clubs in good standing.
One for international, one for humorous, one for Spanish, or one for tall tales and one for Spanish. So 2 for.
Yes,
it
potentially.
Yeah,
If
potentially.
clubs, potentially. So for example, you might just have one person in a club that's doing a given contest and you just send the one. It more pertains, it's more applicable actually in areas where you're going to have multiple contestants in each area contest, and then you would send 1 and 2 as opposed to just sending the first place.
No.
Eh.
It's 2 per club from to the area level. That's,
Yes.
it's not area to division.
It is if there's 4 or fewer areas.
No, it applies to clubs.
No.
Clubs in good standing.
Oh, okay, so let's, there are 2 provisions for the area contest.
Okay,
Area has 4 assigned clubs or fewer in good standing, okay? Then for an area contest, 2 contestants from each club are permitted to compete in an area contest.
okay, so it's not,
Pertaining to division contest, for
okay,
divisions with 4 assigned areas or fewer, pertains to areas, then
you're right.
then the contestants from the 2 highest placed contestants from each area can compete in the division contest.
Okay,
And then there's a provision here with the districts, but that doesn't pertain to us.
Because we have more than we have more than 4 divisions.
Yeah, we have 7 divisions,
7.
we have more than 4.
So, all right, and Francina.
Yeah, it goes in the kind of the same thing. I thought I saw an email going that had 1 or 2 contestants to send. That is an option that each the area or the division can do if they choose it. And I think our division director sent out an email, and we were opposed it to not to send to 2, but do only 1. I thought it was an option to do that.
No, the district has to vote for that option. And we
Yes.
did that through the district executive committee recently and approved that option to adopt it. But say if a club doesn't have 2 contestants,
Yeah.
not forcing them to do it. They can't, it's
No,
not a
no,
shall,
no,
it's not a requirement.
But you have then 1 club because 1 club in the area can have 2 contestants, and the only other one have only 1, and that is it. The layout is a little bit differently. I have to go back to that email, but I thought even that the district give us that option to do it aloud. Each area division can choose it to use that, yes or no. That was my
No,
understanding.
There's something I read when Clarice had that up there that says that it has to be decided by the district prior to the start of the speech contest.
8 weeks.
So the DEC decided on behalf of the district
Right.
for this. So therefore, if you have 2 contestants in a club and you qualify, you can send those 2 to the area. And even if another club only has 1, then they only have 1. And if another club ends up having 2, I don't think that club should be penalized because they have more people who are willing to participate.
Yeah. But no, it is in your club. If you have in your club only 2 contestants, then also the recommendation is not to call it a speech contest in your club. You send them, because if you do a speech contest in your club, you have only 2 contestants, you have to follow the rules. So if they both disqualify for the time, nobody can go.
No, there is a proviso that is correct, that if you have, the 1 or 2 people in your contest, in your club, then the club can vote to send that individual or individuals on to the area. I think if it's 1, I know for sure that if your club has 1, you can vote to send them. I don't know about 2, because I'm wondering if you still have to have a contest even if you're sending both.
To me, that is the same thing. If that 1 or 2, that doesn't make a difference, because number 1 and 2, so you have 2 contestants.
I agree with. I'm just saying. I just want to make sure we're following.
Yeah,
But
I don't
the
know.
rule
Maybe
set.
Clarice can clarify that. Yeah.
How about this? In 7, you have more than 4 clubs, so it doesn't apply.
We don't have more than 4 active clubs.
You don't?
No, we only have 3.
Ooh.
We have sound barriers.
No,
China
4. We have 4.
Ghostbusters.
We have 4. We have 4 at the moment, because California City is in good standing.
Oh.
It is, yeah.
We have
Bridge-
4, so count for us.
Sound barriers and
Parliamentarian, China Lake, and the Cal
What is
City.
before? Okay.
So, but do we have, if we have two contestants, do we have to have a club contest? Because 1 and 2 can go, so it doesn't matter. We don't have, we can just set, if the 2 people participate, we don't have to do a club contest. We can just send those 2.
You can
Now,
send,
As
You
long
could-
as they meet the requirements.
Yes, as long as the
Yes.
contestant,
Meet the
that is, if the test, it contestant meet the
yeah.
requirement that say
Yep.
have so many speeches, use regular contestant that meet all the contestant requirement. You don't have to do a club contest. You can send those 2 to the area.
Now,
That's my
ladies and
understanding.
yes, and I believe that's true. But I'm going to say one more thing, and then it will be time for us to close. Even if your club doesn't have a contest, I'd recommend that the contestants still practice their speech and try to, and I say this a lot to the people in Division G, every speech is a pathway speech, even a contest speech. So if you can try to have it count for a path, and you could still have them give it, still have it evaluated, because that feedback is constructive. You just don't hold it as a contest. You just have them give the speeches in the confines of a regular meeting. With that, it is 6:28. It's almost 6:30. I will drop my email and phone number if anybody wants to reach out to me, phone, text, or email. tmgreg73@gmail.com. Or I'm also going to put my phone number in there. Thank you so much for the pleasure of presenting this evening. I know we still have other questions, so I will be available. Thank you so much. Thank you for being
job.
patient with my tech issues, but that's exactly why you always need to have a backup.
good job. Really good.
Thanks.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, guys.